Hey everybody, so I want to do this video while it's on my mind. I probably won't be doing the videos for a while. My wife just had our fourth son, and she really needs my help. So I've been taking off time from work and everything to try to just help out with that. As I was at the hospital, I was watching one of Lex's videos, and he said something that reminded me of two other authors I had seen do stuff on these DNA videos, where they said that the larger numbers are not um, like they're telling the story in reverse. The smaller numbers are what you're supposed to look at because the smaller numbers are the what you would call the ancient, right? Like they go back to the oldest DNA that's in you or whatever, and the large numbers are the most recent populations that you're mixed with. So I complained to my sister and Vince about this once because I didn't like this. I didn't like how they give you the option later on after you've taken your test. If you don't agree with it, you can change it. But when you change it, you'll see. It just, when I said I don't agree that I'm Nigerian because my sister, mostly my sister and I have done our family's genealogy, and she's busted her butt to get names. Um, we've even found that when I did the DNA test on here, that it linked us to our dad's side of the family with close relatives. Um, and even with them, and talking to them, you know, we have one that believes we're African, but she also holds the information that we have grandfathers that's Choctaw, and our grandmother who was alive on our dad's side told us that our grandfather always said he was Choctaw, you know, so we were able to trace it back, and sure enough, like I showed you, John Henry Cooper, Choctaw, wrote, recorded on the Mississippi, rolls for Choctaws, not Negro, not white, but Indian. It said, and then we have his father, and his father, and my sister also dug up on our dad's side an aunt. That's what was it? That's listed as Creek, and another aunt that's from Texas that said Indian. We don't know what tribe. It's just her death certificate or whatever was listed as just Indian. But they're still trying to say no, no, you came here by way of that boats to Virginia. So, but this is what I wanted to show. Like, and they've changed all this since they've done their whole update. A lot of this has gone away, but down there, Europe South, Ireland and Scotland, less than 1%. Europe, less than 1%. And there's Scandinavia, right, less than 1%. Africa, South Central, Gather Hunter, 1%. Europe West, 1%. Iberian Peninsula, 3%. Benin, Togo, 3%. Africa, Southern Bantu, 3%. Which, I mean, you guys know how I feel. And I know the information will one day come out proving that I'm right. The more I look for it and the more other people look for it. But the Bantu people are not the original people of that land. They were brought there and they were, just learning about them. And I'm not trying to go all crazy, but just learning about them. You can see how they look like they were dropped off in Central Africa and they've spread to South Africa and just taken over. And you learn about the people that were there, the hunter gatherers were moved out by them because these people were farmers. And was it Horace Butler, and what's his name, Taj Tariq? They were doing a whole video about the Mayas, the Aztecs, and stuff like that. And even they pointed out that the way that the Mayans are dressed is the exact same way that the Zulu, and I know I didn't say Zulu, but Zulu are dressed. And they believe that these are one and the same. Who was it? Horace Butler talked about the ships of Mali that left, that never came back. I believe, and I hope I'm not wrong, but I believe even Lex Will spoke about the king of Mali sending people away as slaves or servants or whatever. So there's that. Gehana, which is weird because I actually chose that as when I was putting together my what's the thing they're called. I chose that, but for South America's Guyana. when I was getting my tax exempt number. Senegal, which there was a missionary that used to go when I used to go to this church in South Carolina, or a chapel in South Carolina. This missionary, he was from there. He would come to the United States, and the chapel put together a youth camp down there, over there. And I asked him once too. I said, because they would have these dinners, and they would like bring the traditional African dinners and stuff like that. And I asked him, I said, I was like 15, 16 years old, and I was like, I was taught I was an African. I was taught I was black. I asked him, I said, where in Africa am I from? And he said, not Senegal. He said, Senegal, the people there are short. I was like, okay. But he said, he looked at me, he said, you would probably be, he said, what's it, not South Africa, I'm sorry, West Africa, which, as they show that, Nigerian, it seems that's where the people that are tall like me were sent, So I had to look it up because I didn't know where West Africa was, But he said, yeah. So, and then there's, the numbers keep getting larger. So these are the most recent ones. But then you have England, Wales, in northwestern Europe, and we have Cameroon, Congo, and southern Bantu peoples. Again, the Bantu. And you have Nigeria. So let's check this out. Here are, let me see here. And this is what I was talking about, the changing of the results, because I said, no, I don't agree that I'm Nigerian. My sister's done our genealogy. I'm doing our genealogy. I haven't found the African yet, and we're back in the 1600s and 1500s. So on one grandparent on our dad's side, we're going back to the 1600s. The other grandparent is on the 1500s, both on our dad's side. Our mom's side, we're having the hardest time because a lot of people know the information and they're like, oh, well, you're going to get money out of it because you're going to find out you're an Indian, and so I'm not helping you. So we're having a hard time going about, it's like, you don't understand. We're not doing this for Indian or for money. We're doing this to correct our status on paper and, just reclaiming our history, So, as you've seen, I said I disagreed with the Nigerians, so they dropped it down to 1%. And see, now it's, the next one, is popped up, the Congo. Remember, what was it, the Benin, Togo? It was down some, but now it's, the next highest level. Europe rose to 2%, right? Mali rose from 8% to 11%, and that one rose from 4% to 7%. The Iberian coast, Irish, but now it says Sweden, which I should have paid closer attention because Sweden might have been like one of the Europes that it was talking about, and Spain. So I'm thinking Spain is the Iberian Peninsula that it spoke about. Yeah. So I've learned I just can't trust this thing at all. I mean, that's how I feel. I just have to go off of the census. I have to go off the church records that we have. Stuff like that, because it seems to be more solid and it's not changing whenever someone decides to change it. So, and I have, I have no. I was talking to a coworker of mine who's, he claims to be Irish. He's like, red hair, red beard. He turns blonde in the wintertime. I've seen it, but freckles and really pale skin. And we were talking about this. He's like, yo, you have no Asian in you? I was like, no. He's like, that's weird. He's like, oh, that's kind of amazing. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I was thinking about Genghis Khan and how he raped through everybody. He's like, we're all told that we're related to each other because through Genghis Khan. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, like Jay-Z said, no Shah Khan's gonna rob me. So